Welcome to No Random Wins. I'm your host, Nate Jomaa, and this is a show for people who know success doesn't just wander into a room and ask where to sit. We are going to talk about all the work that goes in behind the wins. The habits, the standards, the follow-up, the leadership moments, the sales lessons, and the uncomfortable reps that nobody sees, but everybody benefits from later. Because the results people notice are usually built in the moments they missed. No recycled advice, no pretending success just happens. We're going to have some honest conversations about business, leadership, growth, and doing the work on purpose. This is No Random Wins. Hello and welcome to another episode of No Random Wins. I'm your host, Nate Jomaa, and today I want to tackle a topic that has snuck into my life on occasion and some of the ways that I've been able to work on overcoming that. And that topic is going to be imposter syndrome. So what is imposter syndrome? We've all probably experienced it in one way or another, but essentially it's an experience where we have self-doubt that we are in the right seat on the bus doing the right job, or that we are in some way, shape, or form a fraud. That could be in life. That could be in our professional job. For example, I was a Little League coach years ago, coaching my youngest son, Micah, when we were playing Little League. And I was never the best baseball player. I was a pretty good baseball player, but I understand the rules. I consider myself to be a huge fan of baseball. And I was put in a position where I was coaching Little League. And I thought, do I have any business coaching Little League? I played Little League baseball. I played baseball for many, many years up into my teens. And sure, I was an okay player, but do I have enough experience at being a good or great player to be able to coach these children? That's what I thought. The reality was I was just getting in my head, and that's what imposter syndrome is, really. It's when you're getting in your head and it's preventing you from getting the best out of that position that you are in life. So whether it's coaching Little League or whether it's at work, maybe you're up for a promotion, you get that promotion, and now you're sitting in that promotion seat and you're thinking, I am not sure that I'm going to be able to carry out the tasks and the responsibilities of this position. So what happens when you get into that imposter syndrome cycle? And I'm going to call it that because it's a bit of a cycle. It happens again and again, and you kind of work through it a little bit. What are some of the ways that you can work through that? What are some of the ways that you can overcome imposter syndrome? In my experience, the first thing that you do is acknowledge that the way that you feel aren't necessarily the facts. You don't believe that you're an imposter, but you have this overwhelming sense that you are. So here's one of the ways that you can overcome that. And that is to keep what I've heard other people call a brag folder. And so that brag folder can be any positive feedback that you've gotten. If you're in a position where you get reviews or you get emails or texts, people telling you that you did a good job, keep a brag folder of all of those things and these concrete wins that you can look at when that self-doubt creeps in. The other thing that you can do is to share your feelings. Maybe have a conversation with a peer or a mentor and explain to them how you feel. I think that everybody on every level should have somebody that has an accountability relationship with them in life and in business. So depending on what your job is, that accountability partner might be a peer that's in the same department. It could be a peer that's in a different department, but you both have the same responsibility and the same jobs, more or less, in a linear or lateral form. It could be somebody that's in an advanced position within the company that maybe you don't have a reporting relationship with. But you want to have conversations with people regardless. You want to have an accountability partnership with somebody that you can meet with regularly, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And you want to have these accountability sessions because it really helps you clear your mind and make sure that you're focused on the right things at the right times. Sharing the feeling of the imposter syndrome with that accountability partner. Maybe it is a friend, maybe it's a family member, just having a conversation and having somebody else give you their outside of the jar input on that. And then the other thing is to kind of work with your mindset to view the mistakes that you make or the quote unquote shortcomings that you perceive as just a natural learning opportunity rather than evidence that you're not competent or that you're not in the right seat on the bus. So I think that's one of the ways that imposter syndrome creeps in, is that you give it all you got and you're finding that maybe you're having a little bit more difficulty than you had anticipated. Maybe you were absolutely rock star status where you were, and now that you've got this promotion with additional responsibilities and additional tasks, you're not able to perform at that rock star level. Well, guess what? Anybody stepping into a new job, it has a little bit of a learning curve. You're no different than anyone else. So you have to look at those mistakes, shortcomings, whatever you want to call them, just as natural learning opportunities. So think about times that you've maybe had similar experiences or you've had similar feelings that maybe you were an imposter. Maybe you didn't call it imposter syndrome. Maybe you looked at it differently. But do you feel like this has ever been something that you've seen in your life, whether it's professional or personal? Think about the way that that made you feel, and then think about the ways that you overcame that and see if those align with what I'm talking about today. See if those align with you having conversations with somebody to kind of talk through it or to look at some of the ways that you were a winner and things that you've done that were just absolutely awesome. And if you just had to give yourself a little bit of time to work through it before you felt like you were in that right position. Don't let imposter syndrome set you back. Don't let imposter syndrome derail all the work that you've put in. Don't let imposter syndrome get into your head and into your thoughts and to make it toxic to where you just want to throw in the towel. Because you're going to look back and see that all you needed to do was just systematize and work through these things, and you got through it just fine. That'll do it for today's episode. I look forward to hearing some feedback from you. If you've got any things that you can share about the imposter syndrome experiences that you've had and ways that you've overcome it. Remember that nobody wins randomly. It's being consistent and being in the right places at the right times again and again. So get out there this week and win with some intent. That's it for this episode of No Random Wins. If this hit home, share it with somebody who's doing the work and subscribe so you don't miss the next one and keep stacking wins on purpose. I'm Nate Jomaa, and I'll see you on the next one.